Have at it, Platoon.
Oh God, what is this shit? Why am I looking at this?
It's War for Rohirrim.
Yes, I know. So yeah, War of the Rohirrim is out. Don't see it. There's no point. It's like they're almost admirably honest about it though, because they have basically confirmed that this movie was made for one reason and one reason only, and it was fast tracked to creation for one reason only, and that is to maintain the rights. So they're not trying to tell a story or make a good movie. They are trying to preserve the rights to theoretically maybe one day do that at some point in the future. That's why this exists. It's why it took about a year and a half, 2 years to come together. It's why it's so threadbare in terms of story. So much of it is actually just repeating the essential beats of the Two Towers, but with different characters. The animation is very flat and janky and unexpressive. Like occasional shots will look fairly pretty, but the whole is not very good. Characterization is all but non-existent. Helm Hammerhand is not the protagonist of this, of course. Hera is the protagonist. I looked into the origin of the name Hera because people were pointing out that Hera is not an Old English name, and Tolkien might have been pissed off. So I thought, well, is there an Old English equivalent of Hera? There is, but it's not Hera. They named her after the lead actress in Mortal Engines with whom they had worked, who is herself Icelandic, I think. But her name comes from the Greek, so they've still cocked that up. The premise is that, as Eowyn's voice actor narrates at the beginning, there is this girl, she's the daughter of Helm Hammerhand, and you won't hear about her in songs or in stories, but she was really important, which is already a problem because if she was important, there would be songs and stories about her. And as you go through this movie and you see what she does, like you go back to, say, an interview where they say they didn't want to turn her into a stereotypical warrior princess because that's a tired trope. She literally ends the movie beating the big bad guy while holding a sword and wearing a wedding dress. I don't think you get more warrior princess than that. And basically, from the word go, she is just the generic, insufferable girl boss, kind of shallow, vapid, empty character. She's going to be auctioned off in marriage, and she doesn't want it because she doesn't need no man. Her brothers are basically incompetent. They should have listened to her, and they don't, and then they die. And then Helm Hammerhand is one of the most incompetent kings you will ever see put to screen. He brings all of this upon himself. She is, again, in the right all the time. He should have listened to her, and he doesn't. So he eventually dies as well. She, though, in the meantime, whilst not being a stereotypical warrior princess, defeats a Mumakil, which is in Rohan for some reason, by leading it into the Watcher in the water, which eats it. And then she gets kidnapped by Wolf, who is like the son of the evil guy at the beginning, who like Helm killed because he's an arsehole. And then he decides that even though he used to love her, he's now a dick. He wants to kill everyone and everything. She is the one who leads the defense of Helm's Deep. She's the one who kills the big bad guy. She then rides off to meet Gandalf. Gandalf asks to see her, and yet apparently, according to Eowyn, you will never hear about her in any song or poem or anything. Even though all of these incredible things that she does, no one notices them. It's just silly, and its basic formulaic nature is just Two Towers. So you have Helm Hammerhand in the role of Theoden, who is kind of slightly too aggressive, too overconfident in his ability to defend his people, makes perhaps the wrong strategic decisions in the first instance. People have to go to Helm's Deep in the end. He exiles his nephew. That's familiar because that's what Theoden does to Aemma. He exiles his nephew, who then eventually comes in and saves the day in the big battle of Helm's Deep at the end when they're all attacking the Hornburg. And then he rides down from the slope that the Eowyn's forces use. Aemma's forces, sorry, and then beats the rest of the guys. They have all the women and children into the caves, and they have to use the passage to get out of the caves. And she is just bland and boring. The whole thing is bland and boring, and you can tell it's only been made to secure the rights and for no other reason. I'm trying to find anything really to compliment about it, and I can't. Like, there's nothing. It was a struggle because I was on 2 hours sleep. I did almost get knocked out by it at large points because the fight scenes are long, but the animation quality isn't sufficient to justify them because they didn't have time, which is a shame because Kenji Kamiyama is good and has done good work in the past. Ghost in the Shell, all the other work with Production IG, he knows what he's doing, but didn't have time to do it. I think he was just being introduced to the Western style of artistic creation, which is make it look kind of pretty, but don't think. And that's how you get work in Hollywood. That's kind of it, really. There's not a huge amount else to say. All the characters are one note. They all make stupid decisions. They're all assholes for no reason. They bring it upon themselves. Helm Hammerhand has this one almost interesting arc where, as per the source material, he goes sort of mad and starts killing people after his sons die. But then he ends up fighting an evil giant orc troll thing, which is, I thought, was supposed to represent like the inner version of himself, the thing that he's becoming. But he doesn't even get to kill it because she turns up out of nowhere and throws a spear at it and it dies. And the orcs are only there for a scene so we can have the dialogue from the trailer saying, "What does Mordor want with rings?" That's it. And then Gandalf apparently asks about this off screen at the end of the movie. Saruman's in it for 30 seconds. He has 2 lines of dialogue voiced by the late Christopher Lee. That's pointless. He shouldn't have been there. Yeah, soulless cash grab movie, and it's not even grabbing very much cash.
Did it open bigger than Craven?
That's a good question. I have a feeling it didn't. How much did Craven earn?
Craven only earned 11 million. Oh no, it did not. It earned 4.5 million.
Yeah, so like, it's not even, I don't think, got a full theater release. I think it's not showing in the full selection that you'd normally expect. It came to mind, but only very late in the day. It's almost impossible to find online. Yeah, it's almost impossible to find anywhere online except in Spanish and Russian, which is really inconvenient for me. But it's just, I don't even.
It'll be on Amazon Prime soon enough.
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah, probably.
Well, maybe not, because the whole reason they did it is to stop Amazon getting the rights to use more Lord of the Rings material. Okay. Which is that okay? Yeah, I found something good to say about it. The fact it exists means Jeff Bezos can't fuck up more of the Lord of the Rings. That's a good thing, probably, but it's entirely meta. There's no artistic merit to the film itself. Is there anything nice about it? They use a bit of Howard Shore's music. That makes you think of nice things. But that is pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I am glad I didn't watch it.
It's so long. It feels like it's 4 hours long.
It's only 2 and change, I guess.
Yeah. It's almost exactly the same length as Craven. It's like they're almost identical in length.
And Craven felt significantly shorter, which tells you something about how long War of the Rohirrim feels. It just doesn't work. There's something about, like, I would be, in theory, of trying to expand out in the genre. I'd like to see, anime get a bigger look in Western productions. This is not the way to do it, though. I think there was a headline after the box office projections were released saying something like, "Oh, this proves that anime isn't untouchable." Well, no, of course it's not. If you apply Western writing standards to anime, of course anime is going to be fucked. The reason anime and manga is doing well is that it's written better than this is. If you just slap a vaguely Japanese aesthetic over a typical Hollywood schlock movie, then it's going to do as well as a typical Hollywood schlock movie. It'll be a shame if this sort of puts the wholesale adoption of animation back another few years, which I suspect it will. But yeah, that's what you get for a movie that's created by a corporate need, not an artistic one, I guess.